Welcome back to Chew on This. I am beyond excited for today's guest. She is an all-round fabulous human being, a former surgeon, a former cancer patient, speaker, podcaster, author, broadcaster, wonderful person. You may well know her, Dr. Liz O'Riordan. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Anna. I can't believe I'm here.
So can you tell, for any listeners who don't know you, just introduce yourself, say a little bit about who you are, what you do.
Yeah, sure. So I used to be a consultant breast surgeon, and 10 years ago when I was 40, never checked my breasts, found a lump, diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. Had all the treatment, chemo, the works. It came back locally a couple of years later. That meant I had to retire because my arm wasn't strong enough to operate, and I was lost at home. And I thought I still need to help people. So I started writing and then talking and doing a podcast and making stuff online just to kind of still be a doctor in my own way. And that's what I mainly do now.
And it's amazing, isn't it? You impact so many lives as a doctor.
Yeah.
When you're operating in the hospital, but you can impact like just multiples.
It's incredible.
With online work.
With YouTube videos, I get people from Ghana and Cambodia saying, thank you for showing me how to examine my breasts. And it's like you can help millions of people with a video compared to the 100 I might treat a year.
I imagine it still doesn't take away the loss of being a surgeon.
I miss that face-to-face. I miss that physical thing. But this is the closest I can get.
I love your videos. I watch them. I'm an all-time fan. So today we were thinking we were going to talk actually about food and cancer and the amount of misinformation, nutribolics, fear-mongering, scare tactics that make the headlines. Just to kick us off, are there any that you know you see over and over again that you really feel keep coming back and you want to call out?
The big one is sugar.
Oh, yes.
Feeds cancer, sugar causes cancer. We can go into that. There's also detoxing.
Oh, yes.
And all the things you need to do to detox your body. Parasite cleanses is another thing, looking at the gut and the microbiomes in there, which is just nonsense. And then the alkaline diet is a big one. Make your blood more alkaline and more acidic, and that can kill cancer cells.
Wow. Should we start with sugar, the big one? Because in my world also sugar is, people just fear it.
They do.
Massive extent.
And there are 2 or 3 lone scientists who believe research which does exist. And basically it shows in the 1920s, a guy found out that cancer cells use double or triple the amount of sugar than healthy cells.
Okay.
And they make the energy without oxygen. And they believe that because sugar is feeding the cancer because the cancer is using 3 or 4 times the amount of it. Therefore, we should cut sugar from the diet and that will kill cancer cells.
And is there research to back this up?
It makes sense, doesn't it?
It feels like it makes sense, but I'm never sure if what you eat converts in that very kind of direct way.
So sugar doesn't cause cancer. Cancer mutates, so it makes its energy without oxygen. And that means it needs double or triple the sugar, but it does that because it gets double the building blocks. Cancer cells are dividing all the time, like Lego. They need double the Lego bricks to grow.
Right.
And it also produces something called lactic acid. You know, when you've done a sprint and you're burning, it produces that, and that pushes all the immune cells away. So it's really clever how cancer uses sugar. So if you cut sugar from the diet, like people on a hunger strike, your body processes proteins and fats for energy. That's how people kept going in the concentration camps. It just uses the stores you have. And that is actually why a lot of cancer patients die, because their cancer is growing so quickly. It is eating your muscles, your heart, your brain, your lungs. So you don't have the energy to keep your vital organs alive. But this is a thing a lot of people don't realise. Sugar is almost everything we eat. It's not just donuts and cakes. It's celery, it's vegetables, it's carbs, it's nuts, it's seeds, it's fruit, it's milk. It's all broken down to 3 basic sugar molecules.
Right.
So if you cut sugar out the diet properly, you go keto.
Yes.
And that's protein and fat, no vegetables, no fibre, bad for the microbiome. Most people can't tolerate it. And if you cut sugar out the diet, you are starving your brain and your heart and your lungs and your muscles. So yes, sugar feeds cancer, but it feeds all of you. And healthy sugars are fine and cakes and donuts are fine in moderation.
You know, it's so interesting. I mean, there's literally so much of what you said that I was thinking, gosh, there's a parallel with non-cancer conversations.
Yeah.
You know, as you said, the reason that many cancer patients die is because the cancer is burning through their muscles and their vital organs. I was thinking that is why we lose patients to anorexia.
Yeah, exactly.
Is because it's not necessarily the anorexia itself, but it's the fact that once you've burnt through all your muscles, the one that's left is the heart.
Exactly.
And that's why people die.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, gosh, the parallels are extraordinary, actually.
It's really sad. And people believe there's a magic diet that's going to cure them because it's terrifying.
Yes.
You think, I thought I was going to die. I'll do anything. I'll spend any money. And you believe a video on TikTok over what the doctor isn't telling you, because we don't tell people what to eat because we don't realise they're Googling for it.
Which is extraordinary in today's world when there is so much misinformation and maybe correct information about diet.
But I think as a cancer surgeon, I had no idea what my patients were looking for online. I thought everybody knew that you just eat a healthy diet.
What would that look like? I mean, I know that sounds a silly question,
No.
but what would a healthy diet, when you say I just thought everyone would know to eat a healthy diet, what would that look like?
I think most of us know it's half a plate of fruit and veg, a decent protein source, ideally some whole grain carbs at every meal. And actually the World Cancer Research Fund, they go through all the evidence. They've got the guidelines to say, this is what you should eat to reduce the risk of cancer. This is what you should eat after you've had cancer. They're the same. And the processed meat, alcohol, all in moderation.
So is there anything that you absolutely should not eat?
No, I don't think there is any one food that is going to give you cancer. Now, if you eat a lot of sugars, if you eat a lot of ultra-processed foods, they don't give you cancer themselves, but they create obesity. And obesity causes chronic inflammation and fat, and that can stimulate cancer change. 13 cancers, especially ovarian in women, and endometrial. So once in a while is fine, but if you're having 5 bacon sandwiches a day, that is not going to be good for you.
So that's where people really struggle, right?
It's how much red meat do I have to eat to double my risk of bowel cancer? Well, actually, it's a hell of a lot.
Is that right?
And a lot of the observational studies will then say, I'm going to phone you up once a year and say, Anna, what did you eat today? And I'm going to assume that's what you eat every day.
Okay.
Now, can you remember what you eat? And your portion of bacon may be very different to mine.
Yep.
No one checks that. It's just phone calls. It's not someone keeping an accurate food diary for a year.
And we all know that food diaries are notoriously inaccurate because there's that whole, I have to confess, I'm a bit ashamed I ate that. I'm not going to write it down. If I don't write it down, it didn't happen.
Yeah, this is the day I had 5 donuts. They don't want to know that. So
they might want to know it, but I sure as hell don't want them to know it.
Exactly.
You know, I'm embarrassed. So it's really hard unless you put someone in a really controlled research environment where all their food is portioned out, they're observed, all their vitals are taken. It's really hard to do a diet-based study.
And if they're not exercising, you've got to control every other single factor.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We all know what we're meant to eat.
Yes, it's not rocket science, is it?
It's not.
What's so both interesting, I think, and worrying is how easy it is for people to believe that the juice diet or the detox, the green tea detox, that will help.
Yeah. And I think we now know testimonials and anecdotes are the strongest form of evidence. I know how to interpret trials that you'll see in journals like The Lancet, but for someone else, it's like my auntie on Facebook cured herself with apple cider vinegar. You'll get people go, there is a school in Nigeria that coaches people how to infiltrate cancer Facebook groups to then get them to sell their herbs and supplements. Anyone can say anything and you don't know if that person is real. It's like the health scams that you get, but it sounds real because you're desperate. I want to be that one. And what's the harm it's going to do? And drinking a load of apple cider vinegar may do nothing for you. It may not harm you, but it's the money you're spending, that false hope. What happens when it doesn't work? What happens when you stop your traditional treatments for any illness?
That was the bit I was about to say. Yeah. What happens then when you say, actually, I'm not going to have the chemotherapy or the radiotherapy because that really is toxic? Horrible,
that they are designed to kill fast-growing cells. And chemo isn't fun.
No.
And a lot of people won't have it, but it's not fun. But we have evidence. There's a paper that looked at Americans and it looked at those who turned down mainstream cancer treatment for alternative therapies like mistletoe infusions and bioelectric mats and oxygen therapy and vitamin C and detoxing, all of that. And they discovered that you were twice as likely to die if you chose alternative over mainstream treatments. But for breast cancer, you were almost 6 times more likely to die.
Because of the type of cancer that breast cancer is and the way the cells reproduce?
And kind of because you're not having surgery and radiotherapy and chemotherapy and you're just say, there are people who just say, I don't want surgery, I'm just going to do some herbal diet because I believe, because this man has said they will cure me. There's a Facebook group of people who've gone to a clinic in Mexico. They are relatives of people who've lost loved ones who died, who were sold that hope. You don't see those in the Google reviews. You don't see those on the websites. You don't hear the reality. It's very, very clever marketing that is swayed to make you click, to make you spend money. And people are dying.
Yes. And it is a hope, isn't it?
Yeah.
Please do something, do anything.
And I get it. I don't judge anyone who's done that because I've had it 3 times. That fear, you don't want to die. You will do anything. And I know enough to be able to interpret the science and say that's bollocks, but you still wonder. And so when I finished chemo, it was horrible because your taste changes. I basically lived off soft white bread sandwiches, soggy Weetabix with maple syrup. I lost 3 kilos every cycle. It was awful. I thought, I'm going to do Green Goddess. I'm going to juice and do all of this. That was my body craving fresh nutrients, but I knew I still needed the protein and fibre, and I knew I still needed my tablets. But I get that. You just want to feel better.
Again, the parallels are everywhere. It's a binary. If I do this, then it will be okay.
Yeah.
Not that. It's the either or. But actually what you want is the and. My traditional medicine and my surgery and my chemo and my radiotherapy and my nutrition and my food and the food that nourishes my soul and the food that nourishes my body and the social connection, rather than trying to take just one.
And I think people who do the juicing and the smoothies, great, because you're getting a load of fruit and veg. If that's what you need to get into your day, then that's fine. I get really cross because being able to cook your own food from scratch is a luxury. You need time and energy and money.
And it's a privilege.
You know, I want to make a spaghetti bolognese, 10, 20 quid to get all the ingredients for 4, but I can buy a £1.50 meal in the Co-op.
Right.
You know, and it's quick, it's in the microwave. If you're a busy single mum of 3, you know, it is a privilege.
But also if you're feeling really unwell because you're having treatment and you just have to eat, the idea that you might stand and be bombarded with cooking smells when you're feeling really sick.
You eat what you need to get you through that day.
Yes, it's survival at that point, isn't it?
Yeah,
and actually it is a fight for survival in the real sense as well.
It is.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
But the ultra-processed food thing is so fascinating because there is so much nuance in that conversation, isn't there? And I find it in my work, people have become so frightened.
They've got the barcode scanners in supermarkets checking everything.
And parents have become so frightened of the judgment of other parents or health professionals about what they might give their children, or they become terrified that they're giving their children something that will harm them. Yeah. And it's like in moderation.
It breaks my heart.
Yeah.
And I think the whole thing about ultra-processed food, we know Americans, half their diet is that. It's, again, the more you've got a processed yogurt and a Big Mac are both ultra-processed foods. The more of that food you eat, the more of it you're going to eat them like you are to get overweight. And it's the obesity that is driving the diabetes and the heart disease and the cancer risk.
But actually, it's also the intervention should not be personal. The intervention needs to come from a government level.
Exactly.
And addressing big food, like we have talked in the past about big pharma. You know, it's big food, isn't it?
Exactly. And maybe you get labels on, like we have alcohol and smoking. This is really bad for you. Only eat it once or twice a week. And you know when you're shopping, you know, do you get the basic meal? Do you get the white plastic bread? Do you like the brown bread? But your kids won't eat brown bread. What are you going to do? So in my book, I talk about my 3 Fs. The 80% of what we eat should ideally be like a fresh, healthy diet. And 20% comfort food, alcohol, snacks, whatever you want, going out, socialising, parties. And the 1% for the F-U-C-K it, when you just need to eat a packet of biscuits because your boyfriend stumped you.
Yeah.
It's everything in moderation.
Everything in moderation. And the 1%, the fuck it when your boyfriend stumped you, that is the kind of the self-soothe, the nurture, the emotional component. And we know that food is really important emotionally. It's really important socially. It's about community building. It's sharing. It's coming together. It's bonding. It's connecting. And that for physical and mental health is really important. It becomes so reductive when we just think about ingredients. Or when we just think about, well, we mustn't buy this, we mustn't eat that. It takes all the nuance away, but it kind of robs us also of our decision-making, our flexibility, increases fear and panic. And fear and panic around food is so harmful, actually, isn't it?
And
it's so harmful.
When people preach, they don't know our lifestyles. And food is one of the biggest search for topics on social media, especially in the cancer space. Everybody is searching for that miracle cure, that miracle diet, that's something that is going to cure them. And common sense goes. And we don't really teach people how to understand the videos that they see online.
No.
And there was a great video by a guy called Dr. Ids, who I follow.
Yes, his stuff is great.
We've had enough. But there's a thing called Brandolini's Law, that it takes like 1,000 times more effort to debunk something. So I don't like bananas.
Okay.
My favourite colour is yellow, but they're squishy and they smell weird. I just don't like them. So you could say, Liz, you've had breast cancer 3 times and you didn't eat bananas, so you should. So everyone should eat bananas to cure breast cancer. Everyone goes and buys bananas. However, I could say, maybe you beat breast cancer by not eating a banana. And if you start eating them, it might come back again. So never buy bananas.
Yep.
But for you to prove it, you've got to go onto PubMed and say, is there any proof that bananas have anything to do with breast cancer?
It's almost like the rate of misinformation, the rate at which it spreads is like the multiplication of some of the cancer cells. It just explodes.
The problem is you get someone with a massive influence. So Stephen Bartlett has had a couple of interesting guests. So I wish he would Dragon's Den them and say, where's the proof? Show me the proof and grill them rather than going, wow, that's amazing.
Yes. And to create a randomized control trial so that you
Exactly.
have the proper data so that you can
Yes.
prove something which is peer reviewed.
Yeah.
It's a massive task. It takes years.
But when someone's saying, I treated 3 kids and 2 survived and that's my proof. But when someone with his influence and his number of followers says it, it must be true because they have over 1 million followers. And when you are trying to do this yourself and you're a small voice, no one hears you, no one sees you.
Well, I think it's not sexy, it's not exciting. Debunking myths,
Yeah.
increasing nuance, they are not sexy and they're not exciting. So with that in mind, what would you really love people to take away today? If they took away your main messages, what would they be?
Food nourishes your body. And ideally, you're going to eat as healthily as you can. And we all have times where you just live off biscuits and bagels and cereal, but your body needs the fruit and the veg and the fibre for your gut. And that gives you the energy. It makes your hair grow, especially around the menopause. You know, you need the fruit and the vegetables, and just try and find an easy way of getting it into your diet. It's really, really important to give you the strength to live, especially if you are going through cancer. You need to survive. But you've got to give yourself a break. And don't care what anybody else is doing or anybody else is eating. No one actually cares about your food. You have to do what's right for you. Just take the pressure off. And remember, half of what you see online is filtered.
And how much of it is false?
I know. People don't look like they do. They are thinner than they are. We're kind of on that 2000s anorexic phase again, aren't we?
Well, yes, or 90s heroin chic.
Yes, I fell guilty to that.
Yes.
As a medical student, I thought this is what I meant to look like. We all strive for exams living off apples and coffee.
And how did that impact you?
Oh, it was awful. You don't have the energy to cope. And that feeling of, I'm not thin enough. I'm not as thin as my housemates. I'm the unattractive one. And then you see the magazines and it's everywhere.
And the messaging around thin. It's not even just the pictures, is it? It's the messaging about self-worth.
Yeah.
And that you are unworthy if you aren't a size 0.
And there was a documentaries of 2 journalists, was it Dawn Porter was one of them, trying to diet down to a size 0. And suddenly in films and media, they're all tiny, tiny women. There's no one who looks like a size 10 to 12 with cellulite. So even now at 50, you think, what does a normal body look like?
Yeah.
Because you don't see normal bodies. And then you think, I'm going to change the diet. And I think it's just protein, fruit and veg, fibre. It's really, really simple.
Which is such a lovely message, but it doesn't feel as attractive,
No,
does
it's
it?
not.
Which is such a shame because it's the easiest message and the easiest thing to stick to, actually.
Yeah.
But thinking back then, if as a medical student you were living on, cigarettes and apples.
I didn't smoke, but it was apples,
apologies.
bagels. It was cereal and bagels. I rarely cooked. And as a doctor, I ate terribly.
But you often see that.
You go 8 hours without having a break. You're on night shifts. You're literally inhaling a Mars bar on the way to see the next patient. You order a takeaway. You eat it cold in 2 minutes. And even now, I will still stand up swallowing my last mouthful to put the plate in the dishwasher. You eat so quickly because you never know when the next call's going to come. And then you come home and crash and you buy everything from M&S at the service station. It's really hard to eat healthily when you are doing busy shift work.
But there's also a lot of research into people who work shifts, particularly night shifts, and the havoc that wreaks with their circadian rhythms and with their appetites. You don't know what to eat
when you come home.
No.
It's my evening, but do I eat a bacon sandwich or a curry or a bowl of cereal? Or do I have a glass of wine at 9 o'clock in the morning? And when there's no fridges at work for you to keep salads and stuff cold.
But thinking back to when you were saying, trying to drop weight and shrink down to a size that wasn't yours.
No.
The impact on the brain of starvation, which, again, very unsexy, but very, very real. It only takes 10 to 14 days for the brain biology to start to change. You can see it in the scans with starvation.
Really?
Yeah. There's fantastic functional MRI, I should say, imaging scans that show the brain changes within 10 to 14 days of significant food restriction.
Oh my God.
And so the things that we associate with anorexia are consequences of starvation. They are not the causes of anorexia. I don't know if you know about the Minnesota starvation experiment.
No.
If you've ever heard of that.
No, I haven't.
It's really fascinating.
Yeah.
It's Ansel Keys, who of course was the low-fat revolution as well. He, in 1942-43, took a bunch of male conscientious objectors who wanted to help the war effort but didn't want to fight. He took really robust psychiatric histories. None of them had a psychiatric history. None of them had suffered emotional distress, mental illness, nothing. He observed them for 3 months, observed what they ate, their calorie intake, their exercise, what they did in their daily life. And then for 3 months, he halved their calorie intake from 3,000 calories to 1,500. Every single man developed anorexia. Every single one.
Wow.
List of symptoms and signs that we associate with anorexia. So they all became body dysmorphic. They started to cut their food really small, push it around their plate. Some ate really fast. Some took hours and hours and slowed down. They developed lanugo, the fine downy hair, which I don't need to tell you, but the fine downy hair for listeners on your body, which is like a layer of insulation when you get too thin.
Yeah.
They developed lanugo. They lost their libido. They began to ruminate about what they were going to eat next, when their next meal was. They became interested in cooking. You name it.
Yeah.
Every symptom you would
Wow.
associate with anorexia was caused by
The
semi-starvation. The only way out was refeeding.
Yeah.
So not all of the men fully recovered
I'm not surprised.
because the brain had changed.
Yeah.
The body dysmorphia was raging. The exercise obsession was raging. All of the thoughts and feelings turned from our normal thoughts and feelings to starvation cognition, starvation emotions.
And actually, I had that.
Yeah, well, you will have that. That's the brain changes.
Wow.
And the body changes. Now, women, we, our ovaries shrink, we lose our periods. It's very clear. Men, if it's during puberty, boys who develop orthorexia or anorexia, they halt their puberty. But it's not quite as clear as a woman who stops menstruating. It's the most fascinating piece of research. And of course, you can't replicate it because now we know what happens. It's unethical.
We couldn't do it.
We couldn't do it again.
Fasting is another thing people go into.
Oh, intermittent fasting, or not before chemo. Or...
Yeah. So I think the 5-2, that kind of time restricted fasting, is not a bad way to kind of shift the weight, because breast cancer puts you into an instant menopause. You can't have HRT, metabolism slows down. Women do put on. I put on 10% of my body weight. And I had to double my protein and exercise to shift it. You have to work much harder. So they get that. And I think that there's been studies that have looked at the 5-2 with controlled exercise that has actually helped women become healthy, but done really, really well and strictly. And I think
with support, psychological
5-2,
support.
This is what you should eat. You're going to eat healthy. The psychological support, it's not a bad way to do it, as a way of eating less and moving more, because you have to move more. Exercise can reduce the risk of cancer recurrence by 30 to 40%.
Really?
And there's a recent trial.
That work?
Oh, this is what everyone says. They want to know why. Tell me the mitochondrial level.
No, I would do
it's
it, but
fine.
I'm just curious why.
But there was a recent study called the Challenge trial that took people with stage 3 bowel cancer, and they gave them a structured exercise program, and the effects of exercise were almost stronger than some of the immunotherapy drugs, decreasing the risk of recurrence.
That's mind-blowing.
The studies that have shown that I think when you do exercise, the muscle cells release certain kinins that attract more inflammatory cells to the area, which can then kill cancer cells. We're getting the evidence, but we know it works.
And is it any exercise, or is it just cardio?
It should be 3 aerobic sessions, cardio sessions for half an hour. And that's getting your heart rate up and getting a bit sweaty and out of breath. But for some people, that could just be walking. And then 2 weight-based sessions. Now, you can do that at home. Squats on the toilet when you go, push-ups against the kitchen counter. It doesn't need to be in a gym. Body weight aerobic exercise to keep your muscles strong and your bones healthy.
Wow.
It's that powerful. It really is.
That's extraordinary.
But back to fasting, there are people who believe, Vincent Longo, that we should be doing strict water fasts in the run-up to chemotherapy. It reduces the side effects. It makes you recover quickly, reduces the risk of recurrence.
I would imagine it must make you feel absolutely ghastly.
Yeah. So the days before chemo are your good weeks. Your taste comes back. You actually want to eat food. Now, the theory is if you are starving the body, then the cancer cells are having to work much harder to get their fuel, so they're more likely to be killed by chemo. But you don't have the energy to recover because cancer uses up far more calories than you need. And most people stop the fasting trials because they can't tolerate it because they feel so weak.
Right. Because actually you need energy to live.
You need the energy. Fuel. You need the energy to get through chemo because it's exhausting, and people are doing it without telling their nurses. They're getting really ill. They're getting more infections. It doesn't increase the risk of recurrence, and it doesn't really reduce the side effects.
So fasting before chemo is a myth.
And don't do it.
Don't do it.
By all means, have more fruit and juices and all that kind of stuff, because you're not going to want to taste it when you have the drugs. And if you do want to do it, please tell your oncology nurses so they can monitor you. But it's not going to make you live longer.
Wow.
Well, I exercised through chemo. I walked every day. And some days I could only walk half an hour. I'd walk 200 yards, stopping to spit and be sick. But then I'd earn the right to sleep on the sofa all day. But you're just you when you're exercising.
Yeah.
But I think exercise is a dirty word. When people are the size we are, we say exercise. Yeah, it's easy for you. Look at you.
Yes.
You're slim. You can afford trainers. You can afford the gym.
But also you don't feel shame when you go in the gym because you look the way you look. Exercise can just be moving your body in a way that elevates your heart rate, can't it?
Dancing in the kitchen.
Oh, it's my favourite kitchen disco.
Oh, God, Sophie Ellis. Yes, Sophie Ellis.
Yes, the kitchen disco is in lockdown.
Half an hour when you're cooking.
But
that's your cardio.
But dancing is the most wonderful form, I think, because you get the endorphin boost through the exercise, but you also get it through the music. You get it through the movement. It doesn't feel like hard work. You're not tracking your stats. Your heart rate's up. It's joyful.
Yeah.
You can do it with others. You can do it on your own. For me, that if I could do that every day. I don't know why I say if I could. I probably could. I don't. But,
You're not hitting the nightclubs, are you?
no, you see, I used to love it. And when I was at uni, I loved clubbing. Not a drinker. So I didn't love clubbing because of the booze. But the joy that you find when you dance, even if you're not very good at dancing, it doesn't matter. The way you move your body and the kind of the music and the singing along is so very different. But people, therefore, don't believe it's exercise.
And it's finding something you're going to do that you enjoy.
And it's enjoyment.
Yeah.
Because, I have to say, the idea for me of running, I mean, I wish I liked it. I wish I could do it. But I hate it. I hate it. So I'd have to find something else, boxing or dancing or I don't know. But it's so important. There's also a concept, and I don't know how much it comes up in the cancer world, of clean eating, which frankly is a term I hate because I don't think it tells us anything. I don't know what it means. It's just code for good. Is that something that you see? Yeah,
we see a lot of it. And I think people believe it's chemicals in the soil, it's microplastics, it's preservatives that are used. It's trying to be as organic, thinking that's going to help. No evidence to prove that clean eating organic reduces your risk of cancer. Some people believe that it's to do with phytoestrogens in the soil, and estrogen causes breast cancer. Breast cancer is stimulated to grow by estrogen, but it doesn't make it happen.
Is all breast cancer stimulated to grow by estrogen?
So 80% of breast cancers are stimulated by estrogen, and it means we normally have 2 or 3 receptors for estrogen in our cells. Breast cancer cells have 50 or 100.
Okay.
So they grow much, much more. It's like a massive growth spurt every day. Right. 20% aren't. But if estrogen caused breast cancer, every woman would have it. Yes. And only 1 in 8 do. But that's where they can spin the theory, and it's done something in cells in a lab. So clean eating, if you want to and you can afford it, great, but it's not going to stop your cancer coming back.
There's also been lots of information around, certain foods being carcinogenic.
Yeah.
Is that true?
So the 2 big ones are alcohol and processed meat. They're group 1 carcinogens. That means there is definite proof that they cause cancer in humans.
In any quantity?
Any quantity increases the risk. The more you drink, the greater the risk goes up. It doesn't matter what you drink or when you drink it, whether you binge drink or you have a glass every night. It's the accumulated dose over weeks. And I think if you are drinking 7 units a day, your risk of breast cancer goes up by 7 or 8%. If you drink 14 units a week, it goes up by about 14%. The more you drink, the more it goes up. Now, it's increasing the risk because alcohol itself is broken down into a chemical that can cause mutations in cells. Alcohol is also converted to fat, and the more fat you have after the menopause, the more estrogen you make, and the more estrogen you have, the more there is to feed a breast cancer. Mm-hmm. So I drank like a fish at medical school. And I think for cancers to happen, you need 10 or 12 mutations. Now, alcohol may have caused 2 or 3 of mine.
Right.
I don't blame myself because teetotalers get breast cancer. But if you can tell your kids now, alcohol is directly linked to 7 cancers. And if you smoke and drink, it doubles the impacts that mouth, larynx, tongue cancer are on the rise because people are drinking and smoking.
And vapes also?
There's not a lot of evidence at the moment. I worry because they're chemicals. We don't know what that's doing in the mouth, but I don't know the evidence to be certain. But we know there's no safe limit. But socialising. If you want to go on holiday and have a binge for a fortnight, then you don't drink much the rest of the week. It's everything in moderation, sensible. Mm-hmm. Processed meat. We know this increases the risk of bowel cancer. And I think it's because the chemicals you use to process it, and that's salting or curing or smoking or fermenting in the bowel, they create something that can increase the risk of bowel cells mutating.
Right.
Ideally, you eat it twice a week and you just have 1 portion. Less is better. Ideally, you have it once or twice a week, if that. And that's like chorizo, hot dog, salami, you name it. The more you eat, the greater the risk. But the actual impact in your risk is small. But if I take 1 million people who all eat a lot of processed meat, the rise of cancer will go up. So your individual impact is tiny, but a load of people doing it will see a big number. So ideally, just being sensible. Don't eat bacon every day.
And what about red meat? Because there's been a lot of negative press around red meat.
Red meat is fine.
Okay.
It doesn't cause cancer. Guidelines suggest you only have it 2 or 3 times a week because a lot isn't great for you, but it's a very good source of iron. But it doesn't cause cancer.
And what about barbecues and char-grilled food?
There's no real proof that they cause cancer. The stuff that you're getting from the smoke will just go through the body and do nothing.
So charcoal is not...
Every once in a while. If every meal you eat is black, you're weird.
Right, if you burn your toast every morning and then don't scrape it off.
So because something is a carcinogen doesn't mean it's going to cause cancer in humans. It's the dose effect. So humans generally don't eat enough burnt food to see an increase in cancer risk.
And I guess that's the difference between a population level finding and an individual level.
Exactly. If everybody stopped drinking, stopped smoking, wore sunscreen, and exercised and ate a healthy diet, we'd prevent 4 out of 10 cancers.
Wow.
Because of the lifestyle impact that's happening. But for you as a person, they don't have a big effect. But it's when you get that population level. And when you hear, oh God, processed meat doubles the risk of bowel cancer. Well, how much processed meat do you need to eat? And is it every day, or is it for weeks or months or years? And what is a dose?
And the other thing that, of course, we're hearing loads about, and you touched on earlier, was obesity.
Yes.
And obesity causing cancer.
Yeah.
Can you explain what happens with obesity?
Yeah.
And why it contributes?
And it's really hard to talk about.
Oh.
Because I'm not obese, and there are lots of reasons why people are overweight. I use the words obese and obesity because that's what medical journals use. But we know that if you weigh more than you should, you have more fat stores. That causes a state of chronic inflammation. And chronic inflammation is more likely to cause mutations in cells that can lead to cancer. It also causes insulin resistance, which can also increase the risk of cancer mutations developing. You have more female hormones, you have more estrogen, and again, that can drive breast cancers. It's also related to the link of ovarian cancer and endometrial cancer. I think 1 in 2 endometrial cancers occur in women who are overweight.
And what counts as overweight in this context?
So I think BMI is the only marker we have. I think
even though BMI is frankly bollocks.
Yeah, but it's all we have. You've got the waist-hip ratio. I think anything over a BMI of 30.
Okay.
Ideally, you want to be around the 23 to 27 range, but once you're getting to BMI of 30, it's increasing your risk of 13 cancers, plus the risk of heart disease and diabetes and strokes. And most people with breast cancer won't die of breast cancer, they die of heart attacks and strokes.
Wow.
Because it's what a lot of women die from. But we know as we get older, we don't exercise, we don't eat well, we get bigger, the menopause can put on weight.
Because I was literally just about to ask from the menopause perspective, because as I understand it, women have a much higher risk of heart attack, stroke, dementia, diabetes.
So I'm not sure about the evidence on this. I know there are lots of people saying that if you don't take HRT, you'll die of dementia and a stroke. And I get women who can't take HRT really worried, thinking I'm going to get dementia. And does it just happen because we're older? Because most men get dementia and heart attacks and strokes in their 60s and 70s, not when they're 20 or 30. I don't believe that menopause and the loss of estrogen is the only thing.
Right.
Worry about that message coming across.
A lot of it quite loud currently,
it's very
though, isn't
loud.
it?
And I think it's people pushing HRT. You should be on it from the age of 40 until 90 to stop all of this happening. I'm not sure lack of estrogen is the only thing causing it.
Well, we have genetics as well, don't we?
We do.
And we have heritability and we have other risk factors.
Yeah, we do.
It's multifactorial.
It is.
And again, multifactorial is quite unsexy.
Yeah. And most women at the menopause put on weight. Some are genetically slim. Then there's my mum who went from a size 8 to a size 16 overnight. And she lost about 2 inches because her bones were thin and she kind of crumpled. And then you put on that weight. And the increase in weight increases the risk of all those things as well. And it's much harder to shift it after the menopause. Life isn't fair.
No, that's really tough. I could be so easily drawn into a conversation about that. And I'd love to have a conversation about that. But, you know, again, that brings us back to diet and what we eat and what we understand and how we understand portion size and socialising and risk.
Portion size. That's a big thing, isn't it?
Yeah, isn't it?
People don't know how big a portion is. And again, when I first moved in with my husband, I put on weight because he was feeding me his portions. Like, I'm half the size of you. Right. I don't need a steak that's the size of 2 hands. And then you go and get a takeaway and you think, that's a normal portion now. And I think we've forgotten the basics, you know, protein the size of your hand, and this is what carbs should look like.
Well, you say the basics, but I don't remember ever being taught it.
I did it at school, a home ec, about 40 years ago.
I don't remember. I mean, I think there was some home ec at school, but I don't remember. And I've lived in eating disorder world now for 25 years. So I vaguely know through that. But actually, it tends to be delivered through the fitness world, which is also another very misinformed nutribolics world.
Yeah.
And protein shakes, which really concern me.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we need as much protein as people are consuming. And certainly I'm a believer in eat the food, don't drink the dust.
Exactly.
But that kind of communication of what is a sensible size portion. And also as we reduce our exercise, of course, potentially it shifts our portions.
Yeah. And I think a lot of us are eating on our laps in front of the TV, eating really quickly. So you're still hungry because it takes 20 minutes for the food to get down to your stomach. So you're going for seconds or biscuits.
But also if you eat in front of the TV, you're not actually aware of how much you eat. It's quite mindless eating. So you're not even often not conscious.
I remember hearing an interview on Radio 4 where this guy said the best way to lose weight is to eat everything with a knife and fork.
Yes.
You want to eat crisps? Fine. Put them on a plate and eat them with a knife and fork so you actually know what you're putting in your mouth.
That would be a great experiment. Would be a great piece of research.
And it's like with kids, you kind of pudding until you've eaten your meal because you're not hungry. It's like, well, we don't do that to adults, do we?
Yeah. No, we don't. We don't. And we don't override in the way that we tell children they must carry on because it's not enough.
Yeah.
And we don't communicate to them that we trust them to listen to their bodies. We don't trust them to listen to their bodies, actually. But coming back just one more time, where we started almost, if that's okay, which was the misinformation that's being spread.
Yeah.
How would you advise listeners here and generally to manage their anxiety, to find the correct information, the actual correct information that they need if they've got cancer or just nutritionally that's protective? How do they manage the anxiety? How do they find the information? How do they know what's true and what's not? Who to listen to?
Your doctor isn't going to tell you because we're not dietitians. We don't know that you're looking for it. The best place to go to get evidence-based information is the World Cancer Research Fund. It's WCRF. It's the website. It has all the information there. There's a great book called the Royal Marsden Cancer Cookbook, which is aimed at what to eat during chemo. And they cover proteins and fats and vegetables and vitamins and minerals and other superfoods and what you should and should eat to help you lose weight, to help you gain weight, depending on the change in taste during chemo.
Right, because that's something we haven't touched on, is the need to actually gain weight.
Exactly. Some people need a lot more protein, and you make mashed potato with double cream and butter to kind of sneak calories in when you need it. So it's a really, really good book to help when you're struggling. NHS Eat Well is a really good website. Places like the BBC Good Food, those recipes are all balanced. Don't get your dietary information off the internet because they're selling you something.
Yes.
People who are selling you things aren't necessarily giving you the best evidence. They're telling you what they need you to hear
so that
to
you
buy
will
their products. There is no magic diet. There is nothing that's going to cure you. There's no magic bullet. There's no quick fix. We know it's just, the fruit and veg, the protein, the fibre, the comfort food when you need it, and you do the best you can.
And that's such a helpful message. It's just not the one that's put out there enough, is it?
And I think there are 10,000 cancer books on Amazon, cancer diet books.
How are you meant to know what to buy?
There's one woman that says, I juiced 8 pounds of carrots a day and it cured my stage 4 lung cancer. It's nonsense, but it's had 900 reviews. People are searching because they don't know where to go.
I find that horrifying.
It's terrifying. It really is. There are people making millions and millions of pounds saying, I cured myself with juicing. They don't tell you they had chemo and surgery. And people are desperate and they buy the books.
I mean, it's not cancer related, but there was a research study that came out either earlier this year or at the end of last year, which said that 87% of the under 40s got their nutrition advice from TikTok and only 2% of that nutrition advice was accurate.
It doesn't surprise me. You see, the thing is, nutritionists and nutritional therapists aren't dietitians. I can call myself a nutritional therapist. You don't need a degree. You don't need to go to university.
Yes.
But you have that title.
But actually, dietitians are the ones who have done the 4-year training in the NHS across a number of different age groups, presentations. They've got the research. They've got the proper, robust training.
If they're not a dietitian, they shouldn't be giving you advice, especially if you've had cancer, because they don't know you and your body and what drugs you're on.
You mentioned, actually, when we were chatting just before we started, about a new video you'd seen on sourdough curing cancer. Tell me about that.
There's an American doctor called William Lee who is all about angiogenesis, which is how blood vessels form. And if we can use foods to stop blood vessels forming, then cancers can't get their blood supply, which sounds great. And he put out this reel saying sourdough cures breast cancer. What? I bake sourdough. This is nonsense. And it's actually about a bacteria, a lactobacillus form that is found in some sourdough starters, which is the same that you find in breast milk. Mm-hmm. And women who give this to their babies reduce the risk of breast cancer in their daughters, and their daughters are for generations and generations. So he's then saying if you eat a lot of sourdough, you'll get more of this bacteria, which should reduce your risk of breast cancer.
I mean, it sounds like it makes sense on one level, but on another level, it sounds quite crackers.
But this is how they lead you in. The caption is sourdough fights breast cancer. It's got nothing to do with that. It's about reducing the risk. But actually the studies are done in cells in a lab. How much sourdough do you have to eat? And
I was going to ask.
Does baking bread kill that bacillus? Is it actually still alive when it's gone through your body?
And can it transfer in the same way as breast milk and breastfeeding?
Yes. And does it only work if you're pregnant? Because if you start eating sourdough now and then you're not going to have a baby for 20 years, I don't understand. But suddenly This is how misinformation spreads.
It's really enticing, isn't it? You see a headline that says sourdough cures breast cancer and you're in.
Suddenly.
Immediately.
Artisan bakeries are going, great, yes, £8 a loaf, here we are.
But it's misinformation again, isn't it? So, I mean, we've covered so much in just this short conversation. What would you say? What do people need to hold on to with cancer and in terms of prevention? Because I guess there's prevention as well as whilst you're going through treatment and how awful you feel and what you can manage at that time. What are your nuggets?
Whenever you see something online, you have to take it with a pinch of salt. Mm-hmm. Whenever someone says this diet cures cancer, there are over 200 different types of cancer. Which one are they talking about?
Okay.
Are they a nutritionist or are they a dietitian? Have they got any evidence to back it up? And is that evidence in cells or in mice? Because your mice aren't small humans. So just when you see claims like this, just stop and think. You wouldn't buy a car based on a TikTok video, and this is your body, you know?
And it's the only place you have to live.
Exactly. And you have to look after it. And to reduce your risk of cancer and to reduce the risk of it coming back and to get the energy you need, there is only one diet. And it's what we keep saying. Healthy fruit and veg, ideally a rainbow of colours. And that doesn't mean purple sprout and broccoli. Onion, carrot, peas. Doesn't need to be expensive. A good protein source and fibre.
And is frozen as good as fresh?
Yeah, frozen's fine. I think frozen veg are better because often they've got more vitamins and minerals. They freeze them right at the point, don't they?
They're quick frozen at the point of picking. Yeah. They're the freshest they can be, but then they're frozen. And people, I think, often worry about the frozen.
No, I think frozen is absolutely fine. Again, you've always got them in the freezer. You can have them whenever you need.
And if your fruit is juiced, as good as whole?
I've got no idea. I think the juices are bad potentially because you don't get the fibre in them. And we know we need the fibre for the microbiome. Probiotics are nonsense.
Are they?
You don't need one bacteria.
You need loads.
And you get that from fibre. And like smoothies are better than juices because they've got the fibre in and that's what keeps the bacteria healthy. So you shouldn't need to buy probiotics if you're eating fruit and veg and fibre. Save the money and eat the real food.
Which brings me, and I shouldn't be bringing me, but I'm going to be brought.
Come on,
supplements. Talk to me about supplements.
Oh, God. The things that Big Pharma is hiding from you. So the wellness industry is worth 4 times what Big Pharma is.
Wow.
70% of Americans take a supplement every day. It is huge. Collagen, menopause supplements, it's everywhere.
Creatine keeps appearing.
I think you only need it if you're a gym bro trying to build muscle. But again, you get everything that you need from a healthy, balanced diet.
So should we need any supplements?
I think the only thing we should be taking is a general multivitamin supplement because most of us aren't eating fresh, healthy food all the while. We don't get as much in the winter. So that just makes sure you're topping up everything you need. Just a basic multivitamin. There's also some guidance that we should maybe think about a vitamin D supplement, especially in the winter, because I don't see the sunlight if you're working indoors. You don't need anything else.
That's it.
You don't need anything else. It's not going to cure you. It's not going to make you feel better. And the supplements like the collagen supplements, it takes 9 months of what you eat to make any difference on your hair.
9 months?
Yeah, because hair grows quite slowly.
Yeah.
So for a chemical to get into your body to then get to the hair root follicle to then become something, you've got to take them for 4 or 5 months to see a difference. And you have no control over what your body does with the collagen. And collagen is the breakdown products of fish and animal abattoir processing.
Wow.
Marine collagen sounds great, but it's basically fish gristle and bones and scales they've ground down.
I mean, I have to say that's put me right off.
I don't know why people take it, you know? And but there's the placebo effect.
Okay.
The wellness placebo effect. If you start taking supplements and smoothies, you'll feel better, so you'll exercise more and you might sleep better. So a thing that's doing you no harm, apart from your wallet, is actually going to make you start some healthy behaviours that may actually cause the changes you're seeing.
But it's the behaviours that cause the changes, not the pill you pop.
But you don't really need them.
That is so helpful.
I'm going to get told off for saying that, but it's true.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
I think, vitamin D in the winter.
Yep.
Absolutely. I think if you're anemic, you do need iron.
Yes,
but you should have a blood test to tell you that, and then a doctor to say you should take some iron.
Because if you take it when you don't need it, it can cause a lot of problems.
Yeah, and you can feel quite poorly. So as far as I'm concerned, you should eat your food. You should bin shakes.
Yeah.
Don't eat dust. Eat it, chew it, process it.
Yeah.
And only when there's real information that you need something in addition, probably from your doctor.
Yeah.
That's when you take it. Otherwise, it's all about money.
You are helping people make money.
It's the fitness industry. It's the diet industry. It's the wellness industry. And I sound ever so cynical.
No, but it's not. There are celebs and doctors with their discount codes and their affiliate deals, and they are just making money from you.
So I think, I'm a big fan of evidence-based medicine, evidence-based psychology, evidence-based treatment. And I think there's a massive place for lived experience. But the thing about lived experience alone, and this is what makes you so amazing, is that you have the evidence base, you were a breast cancer surgeon, and that combination is gold.
Yeah.
If it's just lived experience, it's a sample size of one. When we do research, it's a sample size of many.
Yeah.
People will often tell me I'm wrong about anorexia needing this. I'm like, well, I've had sample size of
research.
thousands. I've done the research.
Yeah.
I've been in the field, inpatient, day patient, outpatient for 25 years.
You know.
It's very different when you look at a population to when you look at one.
But then you have a cancer patient over here saying, I've had this breakfast every day for 25 years and it's cured me. They're not you.
Yeah.
You don't know anything about them. They may not have even had cancer.
And you can really connect with someone with lived experience. And so I
can.
totally understand why it hooks people in. And then it's very difficult to kind of deliver the rest. But on the whole, I would say to anyone listening and to everybody, take both. Take lived experience, but really go and follow the evidence, follow the research, listen to your doctors, be completely transparent with your doctor. Ask the question. They're not going to judge you or think you're stupid. No. They'll be able to answer you. They'll be able to hopefully allay some of the fears, or if not, at least, help you navigate them.
Yeah.
Think about how else you can understand things or where you can get support to help you. But be transparent and have the conversations. That's where I'm at anyway.
I'm with you.
Thank you so much for joining me. It's been such a pleasure. Thank you.
Oh, thanks for having me, Anna.
Oh, I forgot to ask, where can people find you, your books? Because you've written many books.
So on Instagram, I'm O'Riordan Liz, and I've got longer videos on YouTube. That's Dr. Liz O'Riordan. My books are The Complete Guide to Breast Cancer, which is basically answering every question I had from diagnosis through to death, including diet and exercise and sex and the menopause. My memoir is Under the Knife, and my latest book, The Cancer Roadmap, just explains what it is and debunks all the myths and how to spot them.
All of your books are wonderful for anybody who needs them. Definitely go give Liz a follow. Her content is absolutely fantastic. Once again, thank you so much. If this episode resonated, please follow, share and review. And if you're navigating your own issues, please remember that you're not alone and that change and recovery are both possible. Join me next time as we continue exploring the psychology, science and lived realities of how and why we eat. See you then.